Welcome to day 3 of this third week of action here in the Team Championships from China. It's Rugal for Sunning taking on Sword for IG. Both teams are 2 and 3, looking to get that 50% record at the end of this week, which could be important depending on the banning of opponents that takes place at the end of this week. Let's have a look at the lineups. And for Sunning, Rugal has got his Demon Hunter banned. He's playing a Resurrect Priest, as you can see there in this opening hand, as well as Warrior and Rogue. Sword has got his Demon Hunter banned as well. He's playing a Highlander Hunter, Priest and Warrior. It's a regular Priest, but it does have a couple of Plague of Deaths in itself. So let's have a look how this goes down. We don't get to see much Resurrect Priest at all in the meta. Very few people brought it to Grandmasters. But in Last Hero Standing, it's an interesting call. Let's see if it works out for him. Fairly standard stuff here from the Hunter. Hits you in the face. Can you stop me from doing that? And we'll be looking for those convincing infiltrators to deal with some of the bigger things later on, I would think. He's also playing... Oh no, sorry. I thought he played Bad Luck Albatross, but I'm pretty sure he is not. Just me being unable to translate Chinese efficiently. Lovely curve out here for Sword though. Notice he didn't mess around with Zephyrus. If it gets to the point where Zephyrus would help him, it's too late. So just using it as a minion on turn 2 to get this beatdown in progress. And something I always like to look at when playing against Priest is, are they presenting, is the opponent presenting different shaped options? And yeah, 1-3, 3-2, 4-4. No way to effectively take these all down. And actually having to breath just to remove one effectively is looking to play that Bone Wraith next turn, most likely, which looked like it would take on this board really nicely. But the Fellwing kind of belies that a little bit, making it not the most fun in the world here at all for Rugal. Sandhoof Waterbearer would stem the tide a little bit, but not really. Wants to survive urgently to that Soul Mirror turn. That's a little way away yet, but proceeding with the plan I just talked about, playing out the Bone Wraith anyway. I think Sword here is a little bit worried about the second Breath of the Infinite. It wasn't entirely obvious from where he sat why that was played. Obviously we could see the Bone Wraith matched up nicely. But I say that because one of the things he would have liked to have done is potentially put the 5-4 Fellwing in there to Feywing in there to get the best trade he could. But if there's a second Breath he would be in trouble. And instead he goes this way, which actually sets up lethal, and it's turn 5. Obviously there's things the Priest can do to not die next turn. But Sword has just curved beautifully here. And before we've even begun, Rugal is in a pretty bad spot. Now, I did say that IG were 2 and 3, but the graphic has them at 3 and 2. And that's because Sword took down Omega Zero yesterday. So that was their third win. So they've actually got a chance to join RNG in what would be second place, depending how VK do. It could be equal first. The division is incredibly tight. No team having a total nightmare. No team sweeping up. But RNG and VK seem to be the two to catch. Liquid have had a couple of problems with roping, mainly I assume due to a little bit of lag playing on a server very far from where they're used to playing. And Rugal does pick up that second Breath, so that's a thing. But is there lethal here? I can see 12 already there, 2 more from the dogs would be 14 and 16, but he's got to add 5 for the second Bone Wraith. Actually he's got to add 6. That's a lot. Anything he can do with the Varanus? Not really. Griffin seems effective in this situation alongside the dogs, but then you don't get to weave in the hero power. Do you want to weave in hero powers, or do you just want the absolute maximum damage? I think you might as well weave it in. It's a tough call. Griffin's the easy part. Yeah, and the dogs is just nice and clean. To be able to split the wands up nicely allows this lovely looking full clear. And so that seems better than the hero power on this occasion. Rugal able to coin Soul Mirror, but he'd be on 1. Is there any other way he can even stay alive? Galacrond? Not enough. So does he have to coin Soul Mirror? I think he does. Now if he has to do that, then he's going to find the rest of this game rather tough. Well, it won't be much waiting around. Sword is interesting to me. He was a player that sort of came onto the scene back at the end of the team story stuff that China used to play, and then obviously we didn't see much of China for a couple of years. We only saw them in our championship events, didn't take much interest, but it's all going on, but just not a player that crossed the English speaking world's path much. And then last year he did win a big gold stop in somewhere, Qingdao, which means that he's been around for these 3 years, and he was always quite solid anyway. And it looks to me like he's done nothing but improve over that time. Now weaving in those hero powers, setting all sorts of problems. You've got to kill this, you've got to heal, you maybe got to get up a taunt, and by the way, your Galacrond costs 12, so unlucky on that. Does get the water bear down though, and puts the same situation as last turn up. But also, same sort of answer, put you to 1, make a minion, make you do it all again, and Galacrond won't save you, you'll only be on 6. It's amazing that Rugal has lived this long actually. But Sword does have plenty of other things coming should this somehow get resisted for much longer. Obviously the nature of this Highlander deck. There'll be a Zephyrus, there'll be a Bran, there'll be an Alex. So even if Rugal survives this, it is likely that Sword will finish it off. But you do start getting a bit twitchy against Resurrect Priest. It can just shut down attacks so well. Right, well you've dealt with 1 minion the last 2 turns. Here's 2. Can you deal with 2? As well as, again, you've got to deal with the hero power, so the Resurrect is not enough. Need to do more than that. Okay. Yeah, I don't see the plan there for Rugal, and Sword takes a very quick 1-0 lead. At least quick in the world where Priest exists. That leaves Rugal with the Highlander Rogue and of course the Warrior deck. Just double check this Warrior deck. Have had some issues in week 3 with the deck list, but I think it's just about sorted now. No, this is just the Warriors that are wrong, I think. Anyway, we see the green skin there, so this will be something like the meaty list. Against the Hunter, basically it's in the Hunter's hands. The Warrior is favoured, but if the Hunter curves up, the Warrior can have trouble. Especially when it doesn't draw Corsair Cash, especially when it doesn't draw a weapon, especially when it hasn't got a skipper. All of those things are actually things that Rugal hasn't drawn. Does have the War Maul Challenger though. And coining that out to take down the fairy dragon should help him stabilise somewhat. Any other play would be making life awkward for himself. Chooses to take out the other minion instead. This is also fair. Well, Sword has to think now. Zephyrus is a lot more useful later on for a burst finish, but you don't really want to give Warrior the board here. If you don't play Zephyrus now, you're not playing it till at least turn 6, looking at this nice curve he has going. It's not going to get you much. You're just playing it as a 3-2 with a tiny upside. With that tiny upside, if he's decided to play it, which I suspect he has to decide what he thinks he's going to get from it. Do you want to go face? Do you want to bump into the 1-7? You probably want to bump into the 1-7. But then what's it going to offer you? And yeah, this is someone who's made their mind up, who's trying to visualise what he's going to get offered. It's not at all obvious to me what he'll get for 1 mana that's any help at all. He actually decides to let Rugal have the chance to buff this. Interesting. He knows he's got 2 good turns coming up. He must have a good plan for Zephyrus on 6. He's fidgeting quite a lot here, and Sword's normally quite motionless. You can see that last turn was really difficult for him. Well, anyway, back on curve now. Does have to consider Zephyrus each and every turn in case there's something he misses. But for me, the decision was made last turn that he should play on curve from here on in. Obviously, you're allowed to change your plan. Yep. Feywing thrown out there. I don't think he's happy now with the way this has turned out. You can see that having Zephyrus in play would have been decent. And this is something you've got to put out of your mind. I'm intrigued as well by what he would have been offered, what he could have done differently. But one thing that is obvious that would have been different is he would have had a 3-2 on the board, and you can see how much that might matter the way this is panning out now. Rugal not messing around with trading. He's racing. He knows the hunter can only play 1 card a turn. I mean, technically that isn't true. Technically you can play more than that. That's kind of how hunter functions. But now might be an interesting time, if you can think of a good card for Zephyrus. Maybe Shadow Word Pain. Ping down 1 minion, trade into another, play Zephyrus, get a Pain, get rid of another minion. The 2 5-drops are both tempting as well. This is a hard turn. I actually quite like going for Shadow Word Pain, but Rotnest Drake does so much. Hits the right minion as well, I feel. And Sword has swung this around a little, but look at the hand because of that Battle Rage for Rugal. Plenty of options. He'd love to get a weapon equipped here. You do start getting a bit scared though. Your health total plummets so quickly here. You don't want to tank too much with your face, but getting a weapon into that green skin's kind of a big deal. Also has the 1 armor smith, which can basically be 2 armor smiths because mercenaries can copy 1 on turn 6. So he is going to equip the weapon and then see how his health total looks going into next turn. Sword able to have a really good turn here with the boom pistol and just shoot down the 1-1. A 5-5 in play is plenty. On top of all this damage, he knows that something skippery is coming up here, obviously. But might as well make it hard. Some of the minions now just can't be played, including the all-important Sky Raider, so yeah. Mercenaries can't copy the Armor Smith is a big deal here. Difference between 1 and Armor Smith and 2 is the difference between an irritating amount of armor for your opponent, but for you, but it's irritating for your opponent, but not a large amount or a huge amount of armor, and this is just an irritating amount of armor. So board is cleared, health is restored, hand size is huge, but Sword has Zephyrus in hand, as well as a decent curve. Alex Straz and a Grand Slam. So where you start looking, I think Brawl might be in order here. So where you start looking to see if the Warrior can combo kill. And he does have Corcoran and Mercenaries in hand, but doesn't have any Inner Rage for the Corcoran, so it'll be a little while before he can do the huge amounts of damage needed, given that Sword is still on 25. Sword will be planning just to go Alex Straz into the Grand Slam, turn 8 being a mystery turn at the moment. Also needs to be quick if he's going to play Zephyrus. You don't always get offered what you expect. Sometimes that's Zephyrus' fault and sometimes it's your own expectations' fault. Decides to develop a 6-drop. Developing the 6-drop means that he's expected to play Zephyrus plus something reasonable next turn. He's obviously got a plan for this card that I am not seeing. Highlander Hunter being a weird deck to play, it looks straightforward, but your decisions, such as they are absolutely critical. Certainly a deck I'm willing to watch and learn when somebody like Sword plays it. Because I've got to play this Zephyrus about 4 times by now. He's going into turn 8 with it still in his hand, and he's still on 25 health, and he's been putting Rugal on the back foot all game. So he's certainly making it look good. Obviously it's possible he is still waiting for a Brawl, but wanted something bigger to come down first. But now he kind of has to take action. This board's getting too much. I mean, you're starting to face down actually dying now. Like, just skipper, Corcoran, Mercenaries. Obviously, there's no space for all that, but yeah, just that is 8 damage. Nice easy board clear though. Chaos Nova. No lethal available for Rugal, but lots of damage available. This might come right down to the wire. I think Rugal's in a slightly better spot, in a decent spot here. Looking to take it to 1 game apiece. It's not the easiest of turns. But then, when have warrior turns ever been easy? At least in this meta. Correct answer is never, I feel. The option to just rampage in, you've seen Rot Nest. You can just go Skipper, Korkron, Rampage, hit your opponent for 7 and have a 7-5 on the board. If he waits a couple of turns, he can do a lot of damage with that combo, of course, with the mercenaries. Did he rope out or did he get the weapon equipped? Didn't manage to spend that last 3 mana. I feel like that's not where he'd want to be. But Sword is kind of in on this Alexstrasza being amazing. Ooh. What's Malygos going to give him? Flame Strike if you're still alive next turn? Or do you want the Fireball? Do some numbering. I need to see the numbers. 10, 14. Fireball's 8 more. That's 22. Hero Power 24. Technically setting up lethal even before Basira does her thing. Both players fidgeting like crazy. This is obviously a huge game. Getting those wins with your Hunter, your non-Demon Hunter and non-Warrior decks getting a lot of wins. If you go 2-0 up with one of those decks, you're in a great spot. Okay. Okay. It's just not going to be enough though. It's just lethal for Sword. It's super lethal for Sword now. That's a Seer Awakens unless I'm going crazy. Seer Awakens Fireballs 11 to the face. You've got loads of damage coming through from your minions. How's this not Awakens? It's lethal anyway this way. And Rugal can't believe it. But believe it he should. He's lost that, and there's a lot of face damage in there. Just checking a Seer Awakens. That was a Seer Awakens. Thought it must be. There's a lot of face damage he did there when... If he'd controlled the game for one more turn and just not died, he'd have been alright. Anyway, Sword 2-0 up and still on the Highlander Hunter, and now against the Rogue. The Highlander Rogue, as you can see there from the Zephyrus in the opening hand. And once again Sword has just got a lovely low curve here. Yeah, look at him. He knows this is an amazing hand for the 3rd game in a row. Last game, in fairness, he did have to make a few decisions revolving around Zephyrus. Rugal going for the rare but sensible looking Wild Growth here with Togwaggle and Defender in hand. That makes sense to me. Sword just picking up Brand though. And the way this is lining up already, he doesn't look like a Dino Trader to me. He looks like a Dino Tamer. He's going to be throwing dinosaurs at the face this time, I reckon. We've seen all too many of these just trade so far in the course of this. Might have a Kartoot Defender to get through. Alright, so this is where the trade-off for Wild Growth in any class, usually in Druid of course, where it lives, is a big deal. You miss a turn. And in return for that missed turn, you gain 6 mana over the course of the next 6 turns. And at the end of those, you see, was it worth the trade-off? Obviously, a Maniac kind of has the same thing. You spend 4 mana doing not a lot. But you do kill a minion, you do advance your Galakrond, you do get a Lackey. It's a lot of value. But when the hunter has a curve like this, can you afford to miss like a turn and a half, like Rugal has done, to invest in your future? I don't know if he had any choice in the matter, really, but that's what he's done. He's invested in his future. And now he has to get to the future to reap the benefits. And there's just that inkling here that he might never see that. So next turn's Togwaggle with the Lackey. Choice between Kartut or the shield this turn. Obviously getting that extra Lackey to allow yourself to rush in with a shield makes some sense here. Yeah, this thing's hitting you hard. Value trades are nice and all that, but when you've already missed a turn and a half, as I've explained, you can't keep missing turns. At some point, you have to get rid of the big things that are killing you. So I was glad to see that there. It's not pleasant. You don't like having to waste cards like that, but it was important. And now another investment in the future, but the future is only one turn away after this turn. If he wants to, he can play the Togwaggle. It's a bold move. Yeah, Varanus next turn. Sword has kind of had this one just handed to him so far. This needs to be a good turn though, because otherwise the wand will kill you. 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 11 immediately there. Is it one off lethal? No beasts, so not quite. So he's just going to take care of some of the issues on the board. And with the rest of his mana, he's going to hit you in the face. Oh my. Well, this wand needs to be truly wondrous next time. Otherwise, Rugal's going to suffer one of the quickest defeats of the entire tournament. Sunning will fall to 2 and 4. So what can he pick up? Nope. Nope. Ooh, Edwin, but Edwin's too late here. Your job now is to find a way not to die and make this humongous Edwin and win the game. Is there a combination of Eviscerates and SI7 agents that clear up a large amount here? Might be a way forward. And then you look at everything else, and is there any other option that's better anyway? I think the big issue is the Dragon Caster. Not Dragon Caster, Dragon Bane. That's what he's not enjoying here. But he's making Super Edwin and hoping that there's no bad news. But Sword is about to deliver some bad news if this isn't a taunt, and it is not. 14-14 Edwin is going to watch a dinosaur fly straight past him, Rugal head in hands, and in no time at all, IG have taken the win, and Sword has had a very, very good looking week indeed.